our second shiur regarding the month of Elul. Baruch Hashem, it's nice to see all you guys. Welcome to our Wednesday night shiur. Our shiur tonight is sponsored by Markiel Lidida ben Avraham. May Hashem bless him with a lot of bracha, hatzlacha, parnasa tova, yeshuot gedolot, shalom bayit, nachat me'yiladim, hatzlacha bechinuch yiladim, v'chein yatzom nomar. Amen. And tonight, I want to speak about TIKUN HABRIT. And the interesting thing is, you have to be very censored when you talk about this subject. You have to be very censored when you talk about this subject. The reason why you have to be very censored in general, the Chachmei Asod, Chachmei Achen, Chachmei Amada, as the Chida calls them, says there are three Yasods in a person's body. Three foundations. Your Brit Milah, your tongue, and you have in your brain, a piece that connects the two hemispheres together. It's called the da'at. Those are your three yasods. If a person, how could you tell that a person is shomer his brit, that he's clean in his Brit Milah, if his other two brits are clean too? But you can't tell if a person's brain is clean. Who could tell? Only God knows your thoughts. It's one of the 13 principles of faith. There is one that's shown. The other two are hidden. That's your tongue. Your mouth. If a person's mouth is clean, you could be sure that his yesod is clean. His brit is clean. What does that have to do with Elul? How is that in any way connected to the month of Elul? Brit Milah, Yesod. I thought Shovavim is in the winter time. Parashat Shemot. Shemot is Shovavim. When did Elul connect to Tikkun HABRIT? And when we talk about Tikkun HABRIT, or Brit Milah, there's a lot of opinions out there, a lot. It's a very hot subject. It's a very interesting subject, especially for men. So therefore, many people give lectures about it. And there's so much to say about it. But I've never heard anyone ever connect Shemirat HABRIT to the month of Elul. Never. In my life. And I want to read you, before we start, I want to read you a Tikkun Zohar. I was reading this Tikkun Zohar a couple of weeks ago, and the reason why I was reading it, there is actually a minhag. It's more than a minhag. That in the month of Elul, if you want to have a fruitful and blessed year, you have to finish in the month of Elul the whole Tikkun Zohar. There is a book called Tikkun Zohar. It's actually written by Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. The Zohar was written by Rabbi Abba, his student. But the Tikkun Zohar was written by Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai himself, while he was in the cave from Eliyahu Hanavi. So they say that Tikkun Zohar, every time you finish Tikkun Zohar, you get a gift from Hashem. Every time. Of course, the gift has to come first with a test. And usually the test is anger. Whether you get angry or not. As we know, the Gemara says, before a person will get angry, Hashem wants to reward him with something. If he's able to overcome the anger, he shows Hashem that he's ra'ui. He's capable of having greatness. If he gets angry, Hashem says, you're not in control of yourself. You're not worthy of greatness. That's what happened to David HaMelech's older brother. When Shmuel HaNavi saw David HaMelech's older brother, Eliav, he said, Ach neged Hashem Meshicho. This is Mashiach. But then Hashem said, you see his face. I see his heart. He's an angry guy. He's not worthy to be king. Well, so there was a Rav, and I want to read you the tshuva inside. His name was Rav Ben Zion Abba Shaul. He was Rav Avadia Yosef's chavruta. And he was a very big anav. In his lifetime, when he was married, he had one son. His name was Eliyahu. Before he had this one son, his wife had 10 miscarriages. His son was his 11th child. 11th child. Whenever anybody wanted to be blessed with kids, they would know there was one address. Rav Ben-Tion Abashul. Why? When a person feels the pain of somebody, he could actually pray for them. When you don't feel the pain of somebody, you can't pray for them, and even if you do, it's most likely that it won't get answered. So Rav Ben-Tion Abashul, they say a very interesting story. When he was a kid, we Sfaradim, we don't have the stories like Ashkenazim have, when they were young, they were, had wings and they flew and they were big tzaddikim. We don't have these kind of legends. We have normal stories. They say Rav Ben-Tion Abashul back then in Israel, in Yerushalayim, when he was 8 years old, how they used to deliver milk? On a donkey. There was a big donkey, and he had 2 metal containers of milk. And then he used to have glass bottles, and he used to fill up the milk by every house, and put it by the door. In Yerushalayim, this is what it used to be. And the donkey used to carry the metal pitchers. So one day they see the young Rav Ben-Tion Abashul holding a saucer, and he's running after the donkey. And they see something interesting. Every time the donkey stops, he's stopping by the donkey's side and he's holding the pitcher. So one person asked him, what are you doing? People are going to think you're crazy. He said, you don't see? The metal container has a hole. I don't want the guy to lose his parnasah. He was 8 years old at that time. So I'm holding the saucer so he doesn't lose his parnasah. So that's a small glimpse of how a child is meant for greatness. There's many stories. There's a story about Rabbi Yosef like that. So Rabbi Ben-Tion Abashul, he went through a very hard life. At the end of his life, he was paralyzed. Rabbi Ben-Tion Abashul. And he was a very big thing. He was also Mikubal. He was Rosh Yeshivat Porat Yosef. And he has a shoot, Shel V'Tshuvot, questions and answers book called Or Letzion. And they ask him as such. They ask him like this: I want to have a fruitful new year. What can I do in the month of Elul that will ensure me a good year? What can I do? They ask him, Elu an hagot beseder alimud. What can I do in my learning, in my day-to-day learning? Yesh le'osif, that I could add bimei Elul, in the month of Elul, which we are in right now, the Aseret Yemei Tshuva, and in Aseret Yemei Tshuva, the 10 days of repentance. What can I do to ensure a fruitful new year? So he writes like this, something very interesting. He says, Yesh leharbot. You have to add biyamim elu, in these days, tefillot v'tacharonim. If you learn 4 hours a day today, every day, usually, and the month of Elul, you have to learn 3 hours and 30 minutes. You got a minus from your learning to pray. Hitbodedut, Tehillim. Yesh laharbot b'kat Tehillim. You have to learn Tehillim. You have to read Tehillim. All those people who say, I meet so many people, you know what they say? I feel like Tehillim is a waste of time. You know what I tell them? Your learning is a waste of time. That's what I tell them, to their face. Rav Ben-Tion Abashul says, in the month of Elul, you got a minus. Or add to your learning to read Tehillim. You must read Tehillim in these days. You must. You have to, some people, they can't read the whole Tehillim. What do? They get a couple of friends together and they split the Tehillim. Some people split the Tehillim by the week. Every day, Tehillim, there's first day of Tehillim, second day of Tehillim. It's about 30 chapters a day. It's the end of the world, 30 chapters a day. You know how to read Hebrew. Everybody knows how to read Hebrew. What's the problem? Yesh hagomrim et sefer Tehillim b'chol yom. There are some people in the month of Elul, they're so afraid for the day of judgment, they finish the Tehillim every day. Every day. I know one person, he has $500 worth of tickets in the court. And he was too lazy to pay a guy to go to fight for him for the points. Now he has a court case next week. For 4 points, I'm telling you guys the truth, for 4 points, he might get off his license. The guy hasn't gone to sleep in 2 days. For 4 points on a license. So I told him, you might as well come to Slichot over here at 12:40 if you're not sleeping. 4 points! If I would tell you that if you could read the whole book of Tehillim every single day till the Rosh Hashanah, and B'ezrat Hashem is going to put you in the book of life, would you not do it? Some people do that. Everybody should read kefi inyano v'kocho. Everybody should read according to his power. Ubilvad, the most important thing, sheikra bekavanat halev. You have to read Tehillim with kavana. You have to know what you're saying. I already said one thing the other day. Last week, I said, read chapter 27 in Tehillim. If you count how many times there's God's name in chapter 27 of Tehillim, 13 times. Those 13 times are corresponding to 13 attributes of mercy. I know people in my kollel, they memorized it. Why? Wherever they go, they read it. They're going from the train to the yeshiva, they read it 20 times. From the train, they go home another 40 times. As much as they can, they read it, they read it, they read it, they read it. They can, and I'm going to read you guys the next sentence. This is what I want to tell you. V'chen, and so too, ra'ui. This is not, I'm telling you guys, this is not a rabbi who's called himself a mikubal. Rav Ben Tzon Abba Shaul was known as a posek. You know what a posek is? Person who says halachot. Not a mikubal. Yes, he used to give blessings. He was Rosh Hashiva Prat Yosef. Look what he says. Look what he says you should be doing in the month of Elul. Ra'ui lechol adam. Every man should learn in these days Sefer HaZohar. Because I'm giving you guys a key. If you want a key that in the day of Rosh Hashanah you will be inscribed in the book of life, 10 minutes of Zohar a day. Which kind of Zohar? Ubeikar, specifically Tikkun Zohar. Ben Tion Abba Shaul writes this. He's a posek, he's a Rosh Hashiva, he's not a Mekubal. He's not a guy who checks mezuzot and he can tell you what goes on in your life from the mezuzot. This is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Ben Tion Abba Shaul. He was a Rovadias Chavruta. He says you have to read Tikkun Zohar in the month of Elul. Whoever reads the Tikkun Zohar in the month of Elul, it's promised to him on Rosh Hashanah, he will be inscribed in the book of life.
Amen.
And the Tikkun Zohar, but you have to finish it. You have to finish it. How do you finish it? Till Yom Kippur. If you read 18 pages a day, you finish the whole book. I know people. On Rosh Hashanah itself, the first day of Rosh Hashanah, they finish the whole book. And on the second day of Rosh Hashanah, they finish the book again. Tikkun Zohar. You're not listening, Jonah. Huh? It's 354 pages. In Aramaic. He says over here, Lefachot, at least he says, Ya'avor Adam Pam Echad Bechai, at least once in your life, Al Kol Tikkun Zohar. You should at least read Tikkun Zohar at least once in your life, he says. Mishum Tikkun Neshama. Whoever reads Tikkun Zohar, you want a Tikkun for your Neshama, this is the book. This is the book, it's right here. Tikkun Zohar. Once in your life, finish the book. That's it, page a day. A page a day keeps the doctor away. Va'afilu eino mevin ma sheomer. Even if you don't understand what you're saying. How powerful is that, Rabotai? You don't even know what you're doing and you're getting life. How is there anything better than that? It's a win-win situation. V'chen, and so too in these days, a person should try to read prophets and writings. Nevi'im, book of Shoftim, the book of Yoshua, and to learn a lot of Mishnayot. Whoever learns Mishnayot, he fixes his neshama. Mishnah is not just for dead people. I remember when I was still in college, one guy, his aunt passed away, a good friend of mine. His aunt passed away, right away he called me. He knows while I was on the train, I was reading a lot of Mishnayot back then. I used to finish books of Mishnayot on the train, books, Masechtot. And he says, Shalom, I'm going to pay you. What do you want? He says, finish the Mishnayot, Masechet, Seder. He said, not Masechet, Seder Kochim, for the Lilun Ishmat of my grandmother. I said, you don't need to give me money, I'll do it for free. He says, I already split the rest out to the other people. I'm like, I guarantee you none of them are going to read it. I'm going to be the only one who's going to read it. And that's what happened at the end of the day. Rav Ovadia Yosef, when he was still vibrant, when his young age, he once went to London to give a shiur. And, people there don't understand Hebrew, so there was a translator. The translator pays attention that between when Rav Ovadia was saying a sentence and he was translating, his mouth was moving. It was moving. Because what is this? R.Shalom ruach? He puts his ears close to him, and what is he saying? Mishnayot. Between the translator and him giving the speech, he's reading Mishnayot. Yes. I know many Talmidei Chachamim, they memorize one masechet. One masechet. What's the easiest masechet to memorize? Brachot, Betzah, Sukkah, very small masechtot. They memorize it, then they walk, they read Mishnayot. They just read. They know it so well. There was one guy, on his tombstone, you know what he wrote? They told him to write. People on their tombstone, what do they write? He was he was our father, he was a son, a grandfather, or sometimes if they want kavod, they write Harav, HaChasid, Ha'anav, HaTzadik, Shober Harim, Mikabetz Slaim, and does all these wonders. Once I went to pray by some grave, and I said, I couldn't find the rabbi's name over there. Why? His students, they wrote a Megillah on his tombstone. It was such a big tombstone to add all the things that they love him. I'm sure if he would have known what they did, he would say, don't do that. Rav Yaakov Yosef, the son of Rav Ovadia Yosef, I testify, I was at his grave to pray. You know what it writes over there? Yaakov ben Margalit. That's it, one sentence. Yaakov ben Margalit. That's all it says. Zecher Zechur that's it. It doesn't even say tzaddik. Zichrono livracha, it says over there. I was wondering, you know what kind of tzaddik he was? Rav Ovadia Yosef's oldest son. He died from pancreatic cancer. Lo aleinu. I was wondering, how could they put that on a grave of a tzaddik? At least put. You know, he was a tzaddik. Huh? And he says, and I was paying attention. On the side where he's buried, there was another tombstone that was broken. And I started to read it. You know what it says over there? Yaakov Yosef HaTzadik, Yaakov ben George HaTzadik. I'm like, this is his tombstone. Why did they take it off? Apparently, when he passed away, on his will, he wrote like this: whoever adds on my tombstone any title of honor doesn't have forgiveness from me. When they put on his tombstone, what they like Tzaddik they wrote over there, then they read his will. They had to break open his tombstone and put a new one. That was Rabbi Yaakov Yosef. That was Rabbi Yaakov Yosef. Where does this power come from, Rabotai? From Limud Torah. From Limud Torah. Now, there was one tzaddik. He wasn't a tzaddik, he was a balabas actually. On his tombstone it was written like this: I finished Masechet Betzah and Rosh Hashanah something like 2,000 times in my life. So if you would ask me, you know, it's kind of egotistical to write that on a tombstone. I finished Masechet Betzah and Rosh Hashanah 2,000 times in my life. Nobody needs to know how many times you finish Gemara in your life. What's this guy's story? This guy, he was diagnosed with an eye problem. He went to the doctor. The doctor said, you have two choices. To get surgery right now, it's 50-50 chance. Or to wait and your eye, well, it won't improve. It'll get worse and worse, but you might last with your eyes another couple of years. So he said, give me a couple of months to think about it. A couple of months, the doctor says, by that time it'll be too late to do the surgery. Because give me some time. He went home and he did a cheshbon hanefesh. What did he say? He said like this. He says, if I get blind, who will teach me Torah? Let me memorize a masechet, and then I'll take the surgery. Because then even if I get blind, the surgery isn't successful, at least I know something by heart. He memorized one of the two smallest masechtot, Beitzah and Rosh Hashanah. But by the time he comes back to the doctor said, I have nothing I could do with your eyes anymore. Finito. And he becomes blind. This guy lived for another 20 years maybe. In that 20 years, he learned Masechet Beitzah and Rosh Hashanah over 2,000 times. And he said, when I die, put on my tombstone, I am Ploni ben Ploni. I learned Masechet Beitzah and Rosh Hashanah 2,000 times in my life. Not because of ego. To teach people that I did something when I was blind more than they did in their whole lifetime. That's a lesson. That's a lesson to learn. That's not ego. That's a lesson to learn. And he was patur. Thank you. Then he was patur. So Rav Benjamin Abba Shaul says one should learn Mishnayot to prepare himself for Rosh Hashanah. And I want to remind you guys in Ari HaKadosh. I want to remind you guys. The Ari HaKadosh says as such: whoever doesn't cry on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur when he prays, it's a sign that his soul is extremely blemished. It's a sign. It's a sure sign his soul is extremely blemished. What does that mean? How can you stand on Rosh Hashanah in front, and on Yom Kippur, especially on Yom Kippur, Lifnei Melech Malchei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and you consider yourself a religious Jew? You keep Shabbat, you keep Kashrut, and you read on the text, the book of life and death is open. How could you not cry? Even a tear. The Ari says it's a proof your soul is extremely blemished. But you know what? I tell to the Ari that was for his generation. And I want to tell you guys something. In our generation, if a person doesn't cry on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, it's not a sign that he's blemished. You know why? We're such an orphan generation from Talmidei Chachamim. We're such an orphan generation from Torah with Midot. We don't have the right preparation when we come to Rosh Hashanah. I'm sorry to say this. We come to Rosh Hashanah thinking it's just another holiday. And it's not just another holiday. Rav Chaim Kanievsky, he's alive. He's the Gadol Ador today. He says, this is how he thinks. He says a person should work for his parnasah one day a year. When is that? On Rosh Hashanah. That's what he says. A person should work for. That's Rav Chaim Kanievsky. I went to his house, to Rav Chaim Kanievsky's house. Who was with me back then? Gabriel was with me in the back over there. I was in Rav Chaim Kanievsky's house. You know what his breakfast is? Porridge with sugar. What's our breakfast? Avocado, sandwich. Chinese, that's our supper. All this kind of bagel, not any kind of bagel. It has to be everything bagel. Flat has to be whole. His food, I remember, I saw with my own eyes. Porridge with sugar. By the time he came into the room to see us, I promise you that porridge was not cold. It was ice cold. And he took the porridge like this. I remember, I was there. He took the porridge like this and he moved it to the side. Didn't eat it. Why? We were the first person to see him that day. First people. If he says a person has to work in his parnasah once a time a year, when? On Rosh Hashanah. If we truly believe that on Rosh Hashanah our parnasah is being decided, would you talk in a shul on Rosh Hashanah? Okay, I understand. During the year you speak on Rosh Hashanah in shul. I understand. But if you believe on Rosh Hashanah that your parnasah is being decided, would you not come to shul? I know people don't come to shul on Rosh Hashanah. I don't blow the shofar, guys. I don't know how to blow the shofar. I've tried a couple of times. You might think a person that is a chazan, he has a lot of lung capacity, would know how to do it. I don't blow the shofar. You know what I was thinking today? On my way to Kollel, I was stopping by Gift World. I said, I'm going to buy myself a shofar. I said, it's inconceivable in the 21st century that we have neighbors in this community that don't hear the shofar on Rosh Hashanah. And it's inconceivable that in this community you have so many Talmidei Chachamim, quote unquote, that they don't go house to house and blow the shofar for people. It's inconceivable. It's no kind of thing. We got to teach kids to blow the shofar for these kind of people. We got to go to nursing homes, blow for them the shofar on Rosh Hashanah. The Oraita mitzvah once a year. It's inconceivable. It's inconceivable that a person could walk around in this community, which is considered a religious community. And we have people that are mechalalei Shabbatot, and we see them walking around on Shabbat, and we don't invite them to our shul on Shabbat. It's inconceivable. I'm a witness. In this shul, I remember, a couple of weeks ago, it wasn't a couple of weeks ago, it was a couple of months ago, the AC was off. Maybe it was even last year. They called a person from the outside to turn on the AC. I remember this. It was me and you together. No, it wasn't on Rosh Hashanah. It was on Shabbat. And the person came in with his wife, and he started to speak in Hebrew. I told him, Mata Israeli? He said, yes. Ken, an Israeli. He looked like a goy lekol davar. He had a cell phone on him. His wife had one of those bags. And I said to him, you can't turn on our AC. He said, Aval ze lo nogea li, he told me. Has nothing to do with me. This was his word. Ze lo nogea li. You know what lo nogea li? No. It's not connected to me. Those were his words. He just ran away. But that's what he said. He didn't understand anyways. And I told him like this. Ata Yehudi, im ata shomer Shabbat, or ata lo shomer Shabbat, anachnu achim. Nothing you could do about it. You can't turn on the AC first. And he left. I think that Shabbat we stayed without the AC. This is the kind of people that are walking around in this community. Israelim, Sfaradim, Ashkenazim. Don't think just because that shul in the main street, that Reform shul, it looks like a ghost house that nobody goes there. Trust me, there are plenty of people that go there on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Trust me. It's inconceivable that we don't go out and try to change that. At least we could do the smallest mitzvah. And I want to tell you guys something. Do you know why we're afraid to change people's lives? It was a rhetorical question. Do you know why we're afraid to change people's lives? Do you know why we can't approach somebody and say, did you put on tefillin today? Do you have problems at home? Do you need some help? Did you keep Shabbat? Do you know why we're afraid to do that? Because surrounding us, we have so much klipot, so much of our averot that we did, that it's making us so afraid to confront another Jew that we're losing out in the most tremendous mitzvah in the world. There was a story with the Baba Sali. He was sitting once in a Hilulah. Some person said this in my Sheva Brachot actually. He was sitting at Hilulah. And one guy comes inside to the Hilulah with a beard, barada. I said it right? Yes. Peot. Kukul. Correct? Coca-Cola. Hat. Baba Sali gets up and he had such ahavat Israel. He started to yell at that guy, get out of here! Get out! I don't want to see your face! Get out! The guy was so embarrassed, he ran out. Everybody looks at the Baba Sali. He says, how could you embarrass such another Jew? How could you embarrass another Jew like that? Your book is called Ahavat Israel. He says, I want to tell you guys a story. My uncle, Rabbi Yitzhak Abu Chatzira, who was the Nitzotz of the Ari Kadosh, he was once sitting at a wedding. And a very, very rich guy came inside to the wedding. Very rich guy. Very well-respected person in the community. Very well-respected. And my uncle got up in the middle of the wedding and started screaming at the guy, get out of here, get out. It was a rich guy. Donations. Pardon, he didn't care. He kicked him out of the wedding. When they asked him, how come you embarrassed the guy? He said, this guy, before he came here, Chas v'shalom lo aleinu, was with a married woman. And surrounding him were the angels of death that he created with his sin. How could I not kick him out of the wedding? Baba Sali said, my uncle saw the guy did the sin one time. This guy who just came into the party had 25,000 angels of death surrounding him. How will I not kick him out of here? How could I not kick him out? Rabotai, I'm going to tell you guys now a secret. We have 1 month in the year called Shovavim, the month of Shovavim. It's from Parashat Shemot until Yitro. 6 weeks. This year, actually, you guys are lucky. You're going to have 8 weeks. It's a Shana Me'uberet. Yay. And during these 8 weeks, this coming year is going to be 8 weeks, we have a minhag to fast, to pray for the recertification of the averot that men do with their Brit Milah. But in Kabbalah, we have a rule. You can't reveal everything. That's our rule. There is another month that has extreme power to fix the pagam of the Brit. And that is the month that we're sitting in right now. The month of Elul. The month of Elul stands for the acronym Im lo toveh ha'isha lalechet acharai. If the woman will not want to marry me, Rav Nachman Breslev teaches, the woman not wanting to marry you is Reshet Tevot Elul. When could you fix your problem with Shidduchim or Shalom Bait? It's in the month of Elul. And I want to read you guys a Tanya, the Alter Rebbe, which I was zochet to pray by his grave this past year. It was one of the highlights of my year, actually. And I want to read you what he says about the 13 principles of mercy, 13 attributes of mercy that we say in Slichot. You know, I have to beg you guys to come Slichot. Beg. You have to beg me to make Slichot. Not that I have to beg you to come to Slichot. I want to read you guys what he says about the 13 principles of mercy. This is not a rabbi that got smicha for kashrut and now he's already has 20 WhatsApp groups and he's answering halachot back and forth. The Alter Rebbe, Rav Shneur Zalman Miladi, was not just a tzaddik yesod olam. If you want to learn authentic Baal Shem Tov, you learn Tanya. That's the rule. This is authentic Baal Shem Tov. And he says like this. Ubazeh, and with this that I'm about to tell you, Yi'oreh rachamim, you could awaken endless mercy. Elyonim, not regular mercy like in this world, like your friend has mercy on you. Mercy of angels. You know, angels don't have mercy. They don't know gray areas. Mercy is a gray area. For them, it's either life or death. How do you awaken that? Miyud Gimel Midot Harachamim. By saying V'ya'avor Hashem al panav v'yikra Amonai kel rachum v'chanun erech apayim v'chesed v'emin v'tzor chesed l'alafim v'oseh avon pesha v'chata'av v'nakeh. 13 attributes of mercy. Where do they come from, these 13 attributes of mercy, Rabbi Isai? Miratzon ha'elyon baruch hu. It comes from God's will himself. It doesn't come from his wisdom. It doesn't come from his strength. It doesn't come from his glory. It comes from God's will. You know what will is? It's the purest thing in the world. Will is pure. Ratzon, we call it in Hebrew. It's the purest thing in the world. Before you do anything in this world, you go out on a date, you go home to your wife, you go to work, you need a will. If you don't have will, you have nothing. When God created this world, it said he had simple will. Just to create it, I just want to create it. It's called pure will. That's where the 13 attributes of mercy come from. So how is it conceivable that we have to beg people to come to Slichot? How? It's a shame. This is where the 13 attributes of mercy comes from Hashem's will. And women could also come to Slichot. It's not just for men. And where is the 13 attributes of mercy written in God's name? It's such a high level, it's nirmaz bekotzo shel yud. It's not even a letter. It's the kotz. You know what a kotz is? We say in Hebrew chupchik. It's the it's the, I don't want to say that word. It's the crown of the letter yud. You know the letter yud, the thing that comes out? The small dot? That's where God's will is, and that's where the 13 attributes of mercy is. It's lemala mala. It's such a high level, the 13 attributes of mercy. Mibchinat hashpa'at, the letters of God's name suck life from it. And it's opened, thanks to Hashem Yitbarach, because he loves us so much, for 40 days. It started 4 days ago and it ends on Yom Kippur. 36 more days. Double high. You said that, right? Okay. And I want to tell you guys one more sentence that he says, the Alter Rebbe. Rav Shneur Zalman Miladi, the Balatanya. Lachen. Therefore, and I read this sentence. When I read this sentence, I said this year, B'ezrat Hashem, I'm not going to miss a slichot. This gave me the power. Hayud Gimel Midot, the 13 attributes of mercy. Menakim. You know what menakim means? How do you say menakim? It cleans. It cleanses. It purifies. Kol pikamim. You know what kol pikamim is? Any blemish that you have, the 13 attributes of mercy cleans it. Kemo shekatuv. Nose avon. God carries your averot. God, He carries your averot. Vafesha venakinot venake is the last one. He wipes it clean. Like it never existed. Like it never existed. And I want to tell you one more sentence over here because it's so sweet. Vishuv. And after you say the 13 attributes of mercy, ein yinika lechitzonim. The sitra achra can't touch you. You're good for the day. Now I want to ask you, why do people skip the 13 attributes of mercy in tefillah? The first thing they want to skip is that. He's telling you, the sitra achra can't suck from you anymore. It can't, you know what a sitra achra is? You know when it gets really humid outside and it rains, if you live in a building, all the water bugs come out of the drains? What kind of sound does your wife make when she sees a water bug? Like the shofar in Rosh Hashanah, right? Water bugs are disgusting. And those water bugs seem like bisamim compared to what the sitra achra is sucking off of you. That's bisamim. You're going to wish in Gehenom you were full of water bugs. You're going to wish. Because water bugs cannot kill you. It cannot eat you. It cannot hurt you. It can't make you smell. But the sitra achra, you know what it does on you? It makes you a person as if he went to a mikveh, but not full of mayim chayim, full of feces. Anytime you do an avera, it's like you dipped in a mikveh full of feces. That's what it is. That's what an avera does to you. And then you wonder, how come you have no hatzlacha? You know why you have no hatzlacha? Because you're repulsive. So how come other people have hatzlacha? Because they're connected to other repulsive people. Repulsive likes repulsive. Plus with plus, minus with minus. And the one sin that makes you so repulsive to Hashem Yitbarach that it says in Parashat Balak. It says in Rashi over there, Bilam told Balak, I have a secret for you. You don't need to curse the Jews. All you gotta do is make a bazaar full of women and let them loose. Why? Their God could handle everything. Except for one thing. Elokehem shel elu sone Zima. He hates Zima. You know what the word hate? Hate is a strong word for God. God doesn't hate. But if Bilam said that God hates, I think he knows what he's talking about. He said their God hates Zima. What does that have to do with Elul? I'm going to tell you a secret. You know, ever wonder what my month says about me? You ever wonder? I was born in the month of Cheshvan, Kislev, Tevet, Shvat, Adar, Nisan, Iyar, Sivan. The months of the year are 12. Don't go try being a baba with this information I'm about to tell you. The months is 12. 6 male months, they're male. They have the power to give. Then there are 6 female months. That means not they're female, but they have female qualities. They're takers. Then there are 6 male months. Male months means they're givers. Could you guys guess which ones are the male months and which months are the female months? Yes. Which ones? Which one are the male ones? Winter months. Winter months are male months. Why? Because what happens in the winter? It rains. It rains. The rain is what helps things grow. So any person who's born from the month of Tishrei till the month of Adar, he has an extreme power to give inside of him. Whoever's born in the month of Nisan till the month of Elul, they're extremely female months. What does that mean? They're takers, but they're also, they give not for the sake of giving. They grow. You know what happens in the summer? Things grow. They blossom. It's beautiful outside, right? It's nice. You want to be in their presence, right? A lot of the giving months in the sense with, like the month of Nisan, the month of Aries, the month of Pesach, right? It's a very giving month, but it's really a very negative month. Why? Because till you get to the Seder night, what do? In your house goes how many tararams? Cleaning and koshering and mikvah and this and that. You really gotta. But the winter months, it's you're always at home. It's cold outside, So you're with your family. You're a giver, It's same thing with the power in your soul. In these 2 months, in these 2 pairs of months, for example, let's take Tishrei, male months. Tishrei until Adar, the month that is corresponding the Brit Milah, the Yesod, is the month of Adar. The month of Adar, the Pisces, he's corresponding the Brit Milah. So he has, in a sense, a double power of giving. Why? Because the whole point of the Brit is to give. You understand? In the female months, the month that corresponds the Yesod is the month of Elul. It's the month of Elul. So the Ari Kadosh teaches us there is no better time to find your shidduch, which is the Yesod aspect of the female, than in the month of Elul. When is the best time to fix the male aspect? In Shovavim, in the winter time. But when is the best time to find your female counterpart? When is that? In Elul. That's why Tu B'Av happens right before the month of Elul. Why Tu B'Av comes? You went on a date or two. Chodesh Elul comes, that's it. You're married, you started your life. Everything in Kabbalah happens for a reason. It happened just because. That's why the month of Elul is corresponding to Virgo. What's a Virgo? It's a female. It's a female. What's Adar? It's a fish. What's fish? Bli Ayin Hara. Yosef, Menashe and Ephraim were blessed to be like what? Fish. And who do we bless our kids with every Shabbat? Be like Menashe and Ephraim. We don't say that to our girls. What do we say to our girls? Yisimech elim kisara rivka rachel veLeah. So you see, everything has a reason. Everything has a reason. It's not for nothing that we pick the month of Elul to go to Rochester to pray by that tzaddik. Because this is the month that's misugal. Now, I'm going to tell you another secret. Not only do the months correspond to different body parts, as in chesed, more like traits, chesed until Yesod, every month corresponds to a different opening in your face. And I will explain to you. There are 6 months of male, 6 months of female, right? Let's do the female months. The month of Nisan, whoever born is in the month of Nisan, he's very connected to the head. Why? It's the first month. It's the head, it's the skull. The skull is very important. It's called a keter. It holds the brain. It holds the brain inside of it. It's the protector of the brain. The month, what comes after Nisan? Iyar. Iyar is the right ear. Sivan is the left ear. That's why people who are born in Nisan and Iyar and Sivan, they have very hard time listening to people. They're very stubborn people. They need to work on their listening power. They need to learn how to listen. Then what comes after Sivan? Tammuz and Av. What's Tammuz and Av? Those are when the sun hits the hardest. Those are the 2 eyes when there's a lot of tests out there in the world. That's why Tammuz and Av correspond to the 2 eyes. What are the 2 months that you have to work on your eyes? Tammuz and Av. That's why we say on Tisha B'Av, Eini Yordamayim. Our eyes spilt water, tears like water. Why? Because those 2 months are the 2 eyes according to Kabbalah. And the last month is what? Elul. Elul corresponds to the nose. What's the power of the nose? The nose corresponds patience. We call a person with a lot of patience, he has Erech apayim, as if he has a long nose. A person who has very short patience, he has a short nose, small nose. That's why also pay attention. The Zohar says in Parshat Yitro, people with bigger noses, they're more patient people. People with small noses, they're also very quick to get angry, says the Zohar. The Zohar also says in Parashat Yitro, people with very hard hair, they're very hard to understand. People with softer hair, they're quicker to understand. People with longer beards have more mercy inside of them. People who are naturally have short beards are quick to anger. There's a Zohar like this in Parashat Yitro. Okay? So the month of Elul is patience. God said, I waited for this dude for 12 months. Now I'm going to be one more month, I'm giving him time. One more month, I'm going to be patient with him. I'm going to have, like my son says, savlanut, or he says baslanut. Savlanut. One more month of savlanut. There is no point of making tshuva on Rosh Hashanah. I'm telling you guys this right now. On Rosh Hashanah, do we say vidui? No. We don't. Only in the shofar time. Kulei ve'ulai. So what can I do to change my verdict? I'm going to read you guys a Tikkun Zohar. You guys are lucky. It was worth it just to read this Tikkun Zohar to you guys tonight. I'm going to read you a Tikkun Zohar. The Zohar says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, God looks at the world, and He says, Kol basar chatzir. What's Kol basar chatzir? Animal food in Hebrew, Lashon HaKodesh, is called chatzir. What's chatzir? Animal fodder, like hay, grass. Has all people that I see, they're like animal food. They're like animals. Kulan inun kebi'iran. They're all like animals. They're like cattle. Da'achlin chatzir. What do cattle eat? Hay. The kol chazdok zadeh. When a person does chesed, Hashem says, you know why this guy is doing chesed? God knows why you're doing chesed. You're doing it for yourself. So you're like an animal. Anything the animal does is for what? His own personal pleasure. Kol chesed avdin. Any chesed that a man does, legarmayu avdin. He's doing it for himself. Va'afilu kolin. When I read this Zohar, I read Tikkun Zohar, I'm going to tell you guys a secret. I'm going to say it. Because I don't see it as ego. I see it as an obligation. This year, B'ezrat Hashem, I'm going to finish Tikkun Zohar for my 11th time. For some reason, I always passed over this sentence. This time, it struck me like lightning. You know what he says over here? Kol inun de mishtadlin be'oraita. Even those guys who learn Torah, all the chesed that they do is for themselves. They don't learn Torah for me. They learn Torah so people should say to them, Shmo, Shmo. They learn Torah so when they go up to the Torah, people should stand up for them. They learn Torah so they can have parnasah out of Torah. So then what does it says? Bahu Zimna. God gets so angry at that moment. What does God do? Vayiskor, and He remembers, Ki basar hema. Human beings are just meat. Ruach holech. They're just a spirit. Velo yashuv. They can't come back. V'da'iu rucha de Mashiach. God remembers Mashiach. There is one being in this world that He does everything for me, Hashem says. For Him the world I created. And the Zohar now says something so scary. It was worth it to come to the shiur just to hear this sentence. Vailon. Woe is to that man. Not wow, but woe. W-O-E. Woe is to that man. De garmin de yazil min alma velo yatuv la alma. That he causes himself to die. God says, I'm not the one that kills him. He kills himself. De ilen inun de avdin leoraita yabasha. Those are the people that make Torah into dry land. Their Torah is like a desert. Why is their Torah like a desert? Because they don't want to learn the secrets of the Torah. They don't want to learn Kabbalah. Do you hear what he just said? The guys that caused Torah to be a desert, the guys who kill themselves, the guys who cause Hashem to be angry are those guys who learn Torah and they don't want to learn the secrets of the Torah. They don't want to learn the secrets. I was sitting on a Shabbat table this past Shabbat, and next to me was sitting a younger man. And he says, Ma pitom, you have to be 40 years old. I was saying some secrets of the Torah on the table. You got to be 40, you got to be 60, you got to be 80. You got to learn the whole Torah first. You got to first die and come back in a Gilgul, basically. And I told him, did you ever hear Rav Ovadia Hadaye? He was Rosh Yeshivat Bet El. Rav Ovadia, Yosef was afraid of him. He writes, if you're 20 years old and you're married and you know the basics of Torah and your soul wants to learn the secrets of Torah, you have the permission to go and find yourself a teacher. Without the secrets of the Torah, you make the world into a dry place. Now, when I say Kabbalah, God forbid, I don't mean those guys in the city that make a business out of it. Those guys are Erev Rav. Any person who comes to the Thursday night shiur of Shar Gilulim, they know what real Torah Tasot is. It's not physics. It's biochem. It's not biochem. Biochem is child's play compared to what it is. You can't compare it. There's no cheating over here. There's no notes over here. There is your chokhmah. But you know what the problem is? You want to be saved from this God making you angry? People come to the shiur, they fall asleep. They come to the shiur, they have no idea what's going on. They're flying. Their mind doesn't comprehend it. And the reason is, I'm going to read you right now a Shara Gilgulim of the Ari HaKadosh. The Ari says, in Shara Gilgulim Hagdama Chav, Gates of Reincarnation, introduction number 20. Gamda, you should know. There are people that were Talmidei Chachamim in the previous reincarnation. V'aya gadol u'muflai. And he wasn't just a regular Talmid Chacham, he was a Gadol Ador. V'chata, and he sinned. V'chazar bagilgul, and he came back in a reincarnation. V'hine yeshne mine avonot, because of two sins that he did, two kinds of sins. Lesibatam, because of them, when he's in this Gilgul, his mind will turn into wood. In his last Gilgul, he was a Gadol Ador, but because of two kinds of sins that he did in this Gilgul, in the last Gilgul, when he comes back, he won't be able to learn Torah. His mind becomes like a piece of wood, like a dry piece of wood. And I'm going to tell you tonight what are those two sins. It's not written in this book. Rav Shimon Agassi says one of them. You know what one of them is? A Talmid Chacham who has Ga'ava, that he knows Torah, that causes him, when he comes back in a Gilgul, to not be able to learn Torah easily. He'll really have to break his head. You could have been a Talmid Chacham in the past Gilgul, but because you had Ga'ava when you came back, you fall asleep when you come to a shiur. And the second sin, this I know from a story of the Ari HaKadosh, when a person is pogem b'brit, when he takes his Brit Milah and he destroys it, he makes it taref, he makes it into a nivela. When he comes back into a Gilgul, not only won't he be able to learn Torah, everything he learns, he forgets. You learn, you forget. Goes into one ear, comes out the other ear. That's a sign in your last Gilgul, either you had Ga'ava, or either you were Pogem in the Brit. What is the power of the Brit Milah? I'm going to read you right now a Mishnah. The Mishnah is in Masechet Nidarim. Daf Lamed Aleph Amud Bet. It says as such. Gedola Mila. Great is the mitzvah of Brit Milah. And I want you guys to tell me the chidush. This time you guys could answer. Avraham, you listening? Shenichretu, that God He made a covenant with it. How many covenants? 13 types of different covenants. Covenants is a Brit. He made 13 Brits with your Brit Milah. From what I just told you today up until now, what does it have to do with the month of Elul?
13 midot.
The 13 midot, we say when? In the month of Elul. And what part of your body is the month of Elul corresponding? The Brit Milah. The Mila, the Yesod. Yes, of the female ones, but the Yesod. The Gemara is speaking to us in riddles. Gedola Mila, great is the month of Elul, which is the Yesod. Shenichretu Yud Gimel Britot. That God put 13 Brits in your Brit. A person who's Shomer, he's walking around with 13 Britot. That's why they say you have Zakana Elion and Zakana Tachton. And I want to read you guys this Mishnah, Rabotai. This Mishnah I read today. I'm giving you a fresh chidush. It's fresh. This what you just heard was a chidush. I read the Gemara and that's what I thought of. I'm sharing it with you. It's fresh out of the oven. The Gemara says, Gedola Mila, great is the Brit Milah shedoche Shabbat. Even Shabbat can't hold a candle to it. Even Shabbat. Even Tefillin. Rabbi Yoshua ben Korcha Omer, Gedola Mila, great is Brit Milah. Shelo nitla lo leMoshe HaTzadik Aleya. Why did God wanted to kill Moshe? Because he didn't give his son what? A Brit Milah. The Gemara says, Gedola Mila, great is the Milah. Shekol ha-mitzvot she'asa Avraham Avinu lo nikra shalem. All the mitzvot that Avraham Avinu did were not completed until he gave himself a Brit Milah. Guys, I read this. I want to read you one more sentence. The Gemara says, Gedola Mila, great is Mila. She'ein lecha mi shenit'asek b'mitzvot. You want to know one guy that lived in the history of the world that worked on mitzvot like no one else? Take the biggest tzaddik in his generation, he doesn't compare to this guy. There was only one guy, he bled for mitzvot. Just to do one more mitzvah, you know who he was? Ki Avraham Avinu. Like Avraham Avinu. Velo nikra tamim. He wasn't considered a full human being. Ela al shem Mila. Only once he gave himself a Brit Milah. This week's parasha is Parashat Shoftim. We have a mitzvah this week's parasha. You know what it says? Tamim tihiyeh im Hashem Elokecha. Be simple with God. God said there is one thing that I hate in this world. If you keep this, you're on the good side. Tamim. Avraham was Tamim when he got what? A Brit Milah. Now I'm going to tell you guys a secret of secrets. It's what we started the shiur with. How do we say Mila in Hebrew? Mem, Yud, Lamed, Hey. Mem is how much? 40. Yud is how much? 10. 10 plus 40 is? Lamed is how much?
30.
How much so far? 80. Hey is how much? How much? 85. What do we call this? Pe. Pe is how much? 80. Hey is how much? 85. Wait a second. How do you know that your Mila is okay? If your Pe is okay. Because Mila is Pe. You guys are connected somehow. I don't know how. You live in the same area. Yes. Rabotai, you want to make a business deal with somebody? Do yourself a favor. If this guy curses, stay away from him. If you see a person, his mouth is disgusting, stay away from him. Oy lerasha, oy leshcheno, reshet terot Elul. Your mouth is the key to everything. That's why we make hatarat nedarim before we start slichot. Because if your mouth is not clean from your vows, how you gonna go to Hashem with a clean Brit Milah? Where is your Mila? Where your peh is. Put your money where your mouth is. You gotta know how to fix the mouth. I want to read you one more thing and we're going to end with this. I'm going to give you guys a small key to the men out there. And I want to tell you guys, many people make a mistake. They think, oh, I'm pogem b'brit, that's it. I'm hated, I'm this, I'm that. The Alter Rebbe says, the Balatanya, Zechesh Levracha. He writes in Likutei Omrim Tanya, Perek Zayin, Shkoyach. I couldn't find it, so he told me the Mar Makom. I couldn't find the source. I was thinking about it all day. What? Perek 7 chapter. He asked a question. If Shemirat Habrit is so special, how come it's not written in the Torah? And even more so, if it's such a big Averah, the Zohar says, all Averot, you could just do tshuva. What's tshuva? Ana Hashem chatati aviti pashati. And I'm not going to do it again and I regret. Halachot Rambam tshuva. I did it with my class this past year. So how come by this sin, the Zohar says tshuva doesn't work? You need tshuva rabbah. No tshuva rabbah is? You need the atomic bombs of tshuvas. And the Baal Tanya says like this. I'm going to explain you two answers in one shot. We'll kill two birds with one stone. And this is what I want you to leave tonight with. I want you guys to take this mitzvah upon yourself. You want parnasa? You want shemirat hapeh? You want shlom bayit? You want all these things? All you got to do is this. I'm not guaranteeing it, he is. One time, one person, I never forget this, it was 2 years ago. It was Motzei Yom HaKippurim. And one guy's like, I want to pray Aravit for the Amud. I said, but you don't keep Shabbat. He says, no, please. I told him, listen, I promise you, you keep Shabbat, you'll be Chazan for Shacharit. He says to me, are you going to guarantee me that I'm going to make money? I took him to the Hecha. I'm like, you need a better guarantee than this? He said, no, I want you to guarantee. I'm like, if I guarantee you, God forbid, it's going to be like a pagam, like a blemish to the Torah. Who am I to guarantee something that's what the Torah says? B'sham, Rubenei, the Shabbat, the Shabbat, Torah, Hamita Olam. I'm better than the Torah? That's our problem. We need to see everything visual. Visual, everything has to be. The Balatanya says, there's only one sin in this world to do teshuvah for it. It's not enough to say sorry. You need something else. You need Kriat, Shema, Hamita. The only sin in the world that not only can you say sorry, izviniti. How do you say regret in Russian? Izviniti is regret? Shkoyach. I'm not going to say it right, so I'm not going to say. So the only other sin that you cannot, the only sin that you can do that is Shemirat HaBrit. So what do you need? Kriat, Shema, Hamita. Hashem says, all the sins in the Torah, all 612. It's enough to say sorry. There's only one. I'm not going to put it in. You know why I'm not putting it in there? I'm not putting it in explicitly. Because I want you to know it's not enough to do tshuva. You need to do Kriat Shema Hamita. Now I want to tell you guys a secret for all the married men. The Ari HaKadosh says sometimes a person could be shomer his brit, but he's not really shomer his brit. How? When a person is mekayem mitzvat ona with his wife, if he's in a rush, I'm going to say it clean, to go take a shower afterwards, he's over zer levatala. Lo evanta. If you're, how you say, you have to spend a little time, evanta. If you don't, you're doing zer levatala. You're not shomer your brit. Two things I'm going to tell you. That day you got to go to the mikveh. The Chida says. Second thing, afterwards, you got to say Kriat Shema Hamita again. Kriat Shema Hamita is so strong, you know. I'm using this word a lot tonight, but I'm going to use it again. It's inconceivable for a person to skip one of the most, it's not a mitzvah. It's an Arei Miklat. You know that city of refuge where people run away if they kill somebody by mistake? How can you skip such a thing? How? It's very hard. Why? Because you want to sleep. That's where the test is. You need a test. But if you look at it in retrospect, how hard is it to say 270 words? I bet you if your girlfriend, your wife, your parents call you in the middle, right before you're about to sleep, you're going to say 500 words. The Satan knows if you're going to say it, you're taking his life away. You're taking his life away. You need to say Kriat Shema Hamita. Do you guys ever wonder, you wake up in the morning, you don't want to go to Shacharit? You don't want to put on tefillin? You see, every night our soul goes up to be recharged. But one person doesn't go up to be recharged. Person who skips Shema. If you don't say Shema before you go to, I'm telling you, this is the Zohar says you need extra tshuva. You know what I think? I think Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, this is the easiest tshuva. Kriat Shema Hamita, that's all you got to do. But nobody does it. That's the shame. That's the shame. And not only do you have to do it, your wife has to do it too. Your wife must do it too. Kriat Shema Hamita, she must do it. She must do it. Not must. Must. She must. It's a mitzvah. She's saving you. She's saving your parnasa. She's saving your shalom bait. She's saving your mitzvot. And all it takes is 4 minutes. 5 max. Shema Yisrael, ve'ahavta, ve'haya, and vayomer. What's the kasha? Gedola Mila, great is the mitzvah of Mila, shedochet haShabbat. It gives Shabbat a back seat. Shabbat takes a back seat to the Brit Milah. And I want to tell you guys a secret. On Shabbat it's worth 10 times more. That doesn't mean you should only say it on Shabbat though. I'm going to tell you guys a secret. And this is how I'm going to connect Elul, Brit Milah, Kriat Shema Hamita, everything together. When we're at a Brit Milah, there is the guy who cuts it. He does the pri'ah, there's the mitzitzah. Between the Milah and the pri'ah, what does the Chazan say 3 times? Ve'ya'avor Hashem al panav ve'yikra amona. What's Yud Gimel Midot doing in the middle of a Brit Milah? What's it doing over there? The great is Mila that God put 13 Britot on the Brit. What are those 13 Britot? That's Chodesh Elul. Now I want to ask you guys are going to go to Slichot now or what? You're going to say Kriat Shema, let's do it right now. You're going to do Kriat Shema Hamita now or what? There are 3 mitzvot that reveal a certain thing. It's called Chesed de Puma de Ama. One of them is mezuzah. Second thing is Brit Milah, and the third thing is Kriat Shema al Hamita. The altar, Rebbe says, you're holding cherev shel shtei piyot. You're not holding a sword in your hands. You're holding a double-edged sword. It's not a sword. It's a double-edged sword. You could solve all your problems with this. But don't think I'm going to say Shema Yisrael tonight and all my problems are going to be solved. Because you got to say so many Kriat Shema al Hamitahs to cancel out all the stuff that you did. But you got to start from somewhere. And tonight is the night. Tonight is the night where you're starting. After Selichot. So, Be'ezrat Hashem Yitbarach, Rabotai, there's so much to say about this subject, but we'll end it with sweet. May Hashem bless all of us with bracha, Hatzlacha, Parnasa Tova, Yeshuot Gedolot, Yud Gimel Britot, וכן יהי רצון ונאמר אמן. רבי ינא אומר